Hi, it's Catherine Franke. It's April 24th, and my apologies for being a little schwitzy. I was just mowing the lawn. It's just so darn hot. And I don't remember ever mowing the lawn this early in April, but anyway, here we are. So, what I wanted to share with folks is a response to a bunch of emails I've been getting from Barnard faculty, but Columbia faculty and faculty in other universities as well. Emails are going out from the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the EEOC, a federal agency that's charged with investigating and enforcing federal employment discrimination laws. And those emails have asked, are you Jewish? Are you Israeli? And have you experienced discrimination on the basis of being Jewish or Israeli? Now, a lot of people are kind of concerned about the government compiling a list, this government in particular, compiling a list of Jews, and have asked me, should I respond to this? Do I have to respond to this? So let me just break down how the EEOC investigation process works. So somebody could file a complaint with the EEOC on the basis of race, sex, national origin, religion, all the categories that Title VII protects against discrimination. And if the person's okay with their name being part of that investigation, then the complaint would be sent to the employer, in this case, let's say Barnard College, with that person's name. But if they're not comfortable, and in the case of Barnard they weren't, what's issues is called a commissioner's charge. So one of the commissioners of the EEOC issues the charge, or basically initiates the investigation of the circumstances that might justify a finding of discrimination. And they don't reveal the names of the people or person who filed the complaint. So what happens next after that is the university is asked, or the college is asked to send an employer position statement. So basically a response. We don't know anything about this, or we'll look into it, or here's what we know. We've had these sorts of complaints. A position statement in response. Also, what the EEOC will issue is something called a request for information. So it's basically evidence gathering. Send us data about, let's say, complaints filed internally around anti-Semitism in this case, any sort of disciplinary actions taken against students, etc., in the climate we're in now around anti-Semitism. And an employer can say, no, I won't respond to that. Actually, many of them do, but it's not legally enforceable, that request for information. So if the employer doesn't respond, the EEOC can then issue a subpoena. And then there's a legal obligation for the employer to respond. That is, subpoena is enforceable in court. But the subpoena can only issue if there is a quorum of commissioners of the EEOC, which right now there isn't, because Donald Trump fired a bunch of the more progressive, and I will say particularly pro-trans rights, EEOC commissioners. So no subpoena could issue. So in the case of Barnard, what Barnard could have done is simply not responded to the request for information, because they knew that the EEOC did not have the capacity to enforce that request with a subpoena. My guess is that, knowing Barnard, it did respond. But what I would advise for faculty at Barnard and its staff, and any others, employees at Barnard, to do, if you've received this, is ask the general counsel of the university, can I see the commissioner's complaint? I'd also like to see the employer position statement. What did you write back in response to the complaint? Did you receive a request for information? If you did, how did you respond to it? I'd like to see that. And why did you respond to that, knowing the RFI, as they call it, was not enforceable with a subpoena? So that's the first thing you might want to do. The second thing is, you could not respond to the email saying, are you Jewish? Are you Israeli? Have you experienced discrimination? You could just ignore it. Secondly, and this, I think, well, there's several options. One is you could say, yes, I am Jewish. Yes, I am Israeli. Yes, I have experienced discrimination, if that's true. And obviously, if there's anti-Semitic stuff that you've experienced in your workplace, you should report that to the EEOC. But if you have not, and you are Jewish or Israeli, you should respond, or could respond, and say, yes, I am Jewish, yes, I am Israeli, one or both, and I have not experienced discrimination in my workplace, and I would like this response recorded in the record. That's important, so that part of their investigation shows that there are Jewish and Israeli employees at the university who have not experienced it as a hostile work environment. The third thing you could do is say, yes, I am Jewish, or yes, I am Israeli, but I actually have experienced discrimination on the basis of being Jewish because I am anti-Zionist. And I have felt that the university, or the college, Barnard, has discriminated against me because I'm the wrong kind of Jew. I don't have the ideology that collapses Jewish identity with attachment to Israel or with a commitment to Zionism. And I know there are some people at Columbia and at Barnard who feel that way. So if you have questions about this, feel free to reach out. You know, those of you at Barnard and Columbia know me, but at other universities as well. This is not unusual, although it's weird, to get this kind of email, but you have several options. But the first should be to ask your college or your university how it has responded, on your behalf, ostensibly, to the EEOC in response to the commissioner's charge and for the request for information, and then think about how you might want to respond to those particular questions. Take care.